Hi everyone, my name is Richard Santoro, and I welcome you to Third and Zen, the YouTube channel where every week we are sharing a spiritual message to nourish ourselves, heart, mind, body, and soul. First, let me thank you for stopping by the channel. I appreciate you being here. If you want to like, subscribe, share the video or any of these videos, I would be more than grateful. But in the end, I'm grateful for you just popping by the channel and checking out a video. I hope this video finds you doing well. I hope you're taking time to care for yourself, heart, mind, and soul. And remember, life isn't easy, so be kind, loving to yourself, and kind and loving to one another. Okay? All right, we're going to get started today. We're going to do a minute of preparation, a minute of breathing. So everyone, take a nice deep breath. And let's just spend about a minute breathing. Letting our breathing, if we can, be at the forefront of our mind and our focus. Settle into your chair. Loosen your posture, any tension you might be holding. Any tension in your back, your shoulders, your brow, your face. And just be at ease. Be present. Be still. Give yourself permission to just be. Just take some deep breaths. No expectations. Just simply being still and being in preparation to care for yourself, heart, mind, and soul. Take just a few more breaths. And amen. Okay, let's get started with today's message, shall we? Great. The divine inspiration for a message comes from all different places and people. I was once sparked by the Spirit to write a message while sitting at a red light thinking about an airplane engine falling from the sky and landing on my car. Today's message comes from two very unlikely inspirations: a religious skeptic and the comedian Craig Ferguson. Let me share with you the details of how these inspirations came about. First, the religious skeptic. I was watching this person's documentary on religion. They were basically traveling around, speaking to people of all different faiths, attempting to gain some insight on how religions and religious people tick. One leg of their journey brought them to a truck stop ministry, which is a wonderful ministry where people set up a chapel at truck stops for the people that are out on the road. At this chapel, the documentary filmmaker was having some dialogue with several Christians and the chapel leader about their faith. At times, this person was curious and insightful, and at times a little cynical. But most of the people were tolerant and dealt with the person and their questions and cynicism with kindness and patience. Towards the end of their dialogue together, the people of the chapel told the person filming the documentary with all sincerity that they would pray for them, which the person seemed to genuinely and sincerely appreciate. During the farewells and handshakes and hugs, the documentary filmmaker thanked them for being Christ-like and not just Christian. I found that really fascinating and moving, a wonderful concept to think about. It really landed for me. Being Christ-like and not just Christian. And it was even more interesting that it was acknowledged by such a it was acknowledged so sincerely by such a massive skeptic. Now, I'll get back to all this in a minute. Let's move on to the second person that helped inspire this message, comedian Craig Ferguson. For those of you that don't know Craig Ferguson, he's a Scottish comedian that used to host a late-night talk show. I've always found him really down to earth and very funny. Back when I originally wrote this message in 2010, he had the recently departed Archbishop Desmond Tutu on his show. For those of you who aren't familiar with the late Desmond Tutu, he was the clergyman who was called the moral conscience of Africa. And he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his tireless efforts against apartheid in South Africa. And he continued his ministry and his work throughout his later years. So, at that time, Bishop Tutu appeared on Craig Ferguson's talk show. And then later that year, Craig Ferguson was awarded the prestigious Peabody Award for that interview. After the award, they re-aired an encore of the interview, and I caught it for the first time. And let me tell you, it was something. Obviously, Bishop Tutu was an amazingly impressive man. But the both of them together, the back and forth, sweet and humble and funny and insightful and moving, just fantastic stuff, the both of them. If you have a chance, check it out on YouTube, and I'll do my best to remember to put a little link down below. Now, of course, they talked about Nelson Mandela and the way he helped his people and helped save their country. But Bishop Tutu shared a simpler story. Craig Ferguson asked if they still talk and see each other, and Archbishop Tutu said on occasion. And he went on to tell a story about a recent visit that he made to Mandela's home for lunch. When the day was ending, Mandela called for the bishop's driver to bring the car around. The bishop told him that he didn't have a driver and that he'd made the long journey himself, and that was that. A few days later, President Mandela called Bishop Tutu and said that it was bothering him that the bishop had to drive himself around. He wasn't a young man anymore. So President Mandela had reached out to a few friends and enlisted some volunteers to drive the bishop around. In Bishop Tutu's words, the thing about Nelson is he genuinely can't stop himself when he sees what he believes is a need. He wants to do something to meet it. Genuinely can't stop himself when he sees what he believes is a need. Wants to do something to meet it. I love that so much. It has stayed with me for all these years. Sound like anybody familiar? Certainly sounds Christ-like to me. Now, elements of both of these stories certainly do help illustrate what it means to be Christ-like. But the big two-part question for us today is this. First, would we call ourselves Christians? If not, totally okay. All are welcome here. But if you do say, yes, I'm a Christian, the follow-up question for you is this. Can we just as confidently and boldly and sincerely say, yes, I am Christ-like? That's a little bit of a different story, isn't it? Now, despite the stories that we just heard, we may be wondering, what is the difference between being a Christian and being Christ-like? Well, in short, one can be summed up in believing, and one can be summed up in doing. Let me clarify that a little bit more. In the Gospel of Mark, for example, there is a very brief story about Jesus entering the home of a disciple. He's told that the disciple's mother-in-law is sick with a fever. Jesus sees a need. In healing her, it says he went to her, took her hand, and helped her up. Wants to do something to meet it. And not only does Jesus heal her, but he also shows an extra care and kindness as he helps her up. I always love that. Now, here's the point. A Christian believes in that story, believes in the life and miracles and glory of Jesus Christ and all that. And that is a brilliant and beautiful thing for someone to profess. But a person who is Christ-like, that person hears what Jesus did and wants to go out and do the same. I'm not sitting here and saying that we are expected to miraculously heal a fever. But kindness, care, seeing a need, and wanting to do something to meet it, yeah, we can do that. We can help a person in pain. We can help a person up in so many ways. That's healing. That's kindness. That's seeing a need and doing something to meet it. That's being Christ-like. The individuals that the religious skeptic filming the documentary, the individuals that person encountered, they're showing kindness and patience and understanding. That's being Christ-like. Taking the time to answer questions and help a person who sees things differently than they do, no less. That's being Christ-like. The documentary filmmaker themselves, the absolute skeptic, taking the time to explore and inquire and engage and ask questions about God and faith, and also recognize true goodness in people who see things differently, no less, and ask questions and be thankful. That's being Christ-like. And Craig Ferguson and Desmond Tutu, two people from totally different worlds and ethnicities and makeup and generations, treating each other with humility and respect and humor and spirituality and love and kindness. That is being Christ-like. And Nelson Mandela, taking the time to help a friend who didn't ask for it, seeing a need for someone else, and not being able to stop himself from doing something about it. That is being Christ-like. And meeting people where they are, like literally everyone that I have mentioned, and meeting them with kindness and caring and giving and inspiring them and moving them and selflessly willing to give of themselves, all of those individuals, that is being Christ-like. As Jesus said, we are to love one another as I have loved you. Do as I do. Again, how many of us would feel 100% confident in saying that we are Christ-like? You know, there are so many stories and examples and illustrations of being Christ-like in the stories of Jesus, of course. I would love nothing more than to sift through the Gospels and share more and more of what Jesus did, of how he lived and acted, examples that show us firsthand how we can be like him. I would love to share the stories of how he was always kind to children and the outcasts of society, the unloved, and stories about how he always stood up for what was right, even in the face of danger, or stories about how he constantly prayed or embraced stillness whenever he could. I would love to share the moments of how he was giving and forgiving and empathetic and caring and loving. But time is limited, so I can't. And you know what? It's best that I don't right now. Here's why. We can't be like Jesus. We can't be Christ-like if we don't know Jesus. A person delivering a message like this can only share so much about Jesus with us. We have to take the time to get to know him, to really and intimately know him, to have a close and personal relationship with him. Then, between having him shared in settings like this and looking closely at his life in the Gospels, and getting to know him closer in our hearts and in our daily lives, then we will be equipped to be Christ-like. Bishop Tutu shared a story about Nelson Mandela, and I shared that story with you. But do any of us now claim to know Nelson Mandela? No, we don't. Desmond Tutu knew Nelson Mandela. He was close with him. He had a relationship with him. Just the same, again, in order for us to be Christ-like, those of us who profess to be Christians also need to know Jesus, the Jesus of the Gospels. We can't be like somebody if we don't know them. It's that simple. So, just to close us out here today, I had heard the term Christ-like in the past. It's common and not something new. But it took not only a group of people dealing with an absolute skeptic in a Christ-like way to help clarify for me what it means. It also took having that same diehard skeptic to point out the virtue of others as being Christ-like to really bring it into focus for me. And then it took two humble and kind people chatting with love and sharing with each other a simple story about friendship and kindness. A story about a man who saved a nation, but also found the time to help a friend to really bring being Christ-like into focus for me. So, my friends, when asked, are we Christians? How would some of us reply? Perhaps some would say, yes, absolutely. I believe in God, Jesus, resurrection, Easter, Christmas, all that. I'm a Christian. But are we also Christ-like? Can we answer that one as quickly and as confidently? And do we take the time to know Jesus so that we can truly be like him? So that we know how to love each other in the same way that he loves us. Being Christian and being Christ-like. Believing and doing. Hopefully, going forward, when we encounter skeptics and cynics, loved ones and friends, those who are different from us and those who live differently from us, they can say to us, thanks for being Christ-like and not just Christian. Thanks be to God. Amen. Okay, my friends, that has been this week's message. Again, I want to thank you for stopping by the channel and checking out the video. If you're a repeat offender, a loved one, a friend who's been around for a while, thank you for continuing to stop by. And if you're someone that checked us out for the first time, I appreciate it. I appreciate all of your presence here. Again, we're in the middle of winter. It's colder. The days are getting a little longer, but it's still cold and dark and pandemic-y and life out there and all the different things we all have swirling around in our little universes and in our big society overall. Bottom line, life is not easy for anybody. So I hope you're taking the time to care for yourself, to be kind to yourself, to be patient with yourself. And I hope that we're all taking the time to recognize the challenges that everyone's having that we're not aware of. So let's be kind, loving, and understanding and empathetic with ourselves and with everyone around us. I guess in short, let's be Christ-like. Let's be the best versions of ourselves. Care for yourself, love yourself, go in peace. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make God's countenance to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may the Lord lift up the light of Jesus upon you and give you peace. Amen. Again, thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week, great journey going forward. Remember, you're loved and cared for. I love you. Thank you. Peace, everyone. Take care.